Welcome in to a Thursday edition of the Sports Huddle on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 on the FM dial and online at SEMOESPN.com. Eric Shawn, voice of the Cape Catfish. Rusty Hendricks going to join us momentarily on the EBOMD Huddle Hotline, which is open for your perusal. Our EBOMD Huddle Hotline number is 573-334-1220. 573-334-1220. Huddle Hotline powered by EBOMD. You can email the show, Sports-Huddle-1220 at gmail.com. Sports-Huddle-1220 at gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Twitter. That's right. We're on formerly called Twitter, on X at Sports-Huddle 1. Let's try it again. At Sports-Huddle 1. That's the number 1, at Sports-Huddle 1. You can follow us on X. Let's head to the EBOMD Huddle Hotline, where the voice of the Cape Catfish, Rusty Hendricks, joins us this morning. How are things, Rusty?
Good morning, Eric. Things are going well. And, hey, you know, when the fighting squirrels and the catfish are ready to play some ball, just kind of welcomes in summer. And that's just kind of what it feels like. It's ready to get the summer kicked off, and good to have summer baseball back.
Yeah, the one difference, catfish play on a turf surface, squirrels play on natural grass at Hill House. And all of that rain we got overnight on Tuesday rained the Squirrels' home opener out. So they will play tomorrow. They got a doubleheader tomorrow at 5:30 and then a 1 o'clock doubleheader on Saturday. So they'll get theirs going. The Cape Catfish are 1-1. And you're getting set to call the big home opener tonight at Kappaha as the Thrillville Thrillbillies will be in town, and the Catfish knocked off the Thrillbillies last night. It was a 5-5 game until the 8th inning, and the Catfish scored 3 times in the 8th. They beat the Thrillbillies 8-5 after they dropped a 1-run decision, a game that the Catfish gave up 3 runs in the 9th inning. And O'Fallon dropped their opener to the Hoots, bounced back nicely last night. Expecting a big crowd after a nice road victory last night. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it should be a fun night. You mentioned a home opener at Kappaha, and I do expect a nice crowd there tonight with the Catfish back at home. You know, a lot of guys coming back from last year, Eric. I think there's around 11 guys returning from last year's team, which is kind of unprecedented in summer league baseball and in the in the prospect league. But a lot of new faces too, and you saw some of those guys, in last night. And new manager for the Cape Catfish, Gary McClure, which I know you're familiar with, the former Austin P manager or head coach. So he has obviously a lot of pedigree, and he's been there, done that. He's an old school type of manager, so it'll be fun working with him this year as well. But the Catfish. Expect to have another big season. I've talked with the GM, Mark Hogan, and the president, and Glenn Campbell. They both think that this is another very talented roster, Eric, so they expect the team to fight for the playoffs again. They have made the playoffs in every year but one in their existence, so they've been a winning team so far. They won the championship in 2021. They were in the championship series in 2019 in their inaugural season. So they've been a winning group, winning franchise so far, and we expect the same thing this year.
So we'll be keeping an eye on the Catfish, especially some of the guys that not only are we currently familiar with that play for SEMO, but guys who really didn't see the field this past year who are playing for the Catfish. One of those guys is a pitcher that redshirted this season for SEMO. He was the winning pitcher in relief last night. Matt Nukowski pitched 2 hitless innings with 5 strikeouts. That's a nice debut for Nukowski. Caleb Champion, who started to get more and more playing time as the season progressed, as a true freshman. He is a big guy at 6'4", slender, but he runs like a deer, super fast, plays center field, or did last night. In fact, in the first two games, Gary McClure has had Caleb Champion out in center. He had a hit last night. And then a guy who I think people will find interesting, especially because of his first name, Tank Sims. Tank missed all of the SEMO baseball season. He's a catcher by trade. And he had an injury, had a surgery. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what the injury was, but he got a red shirt for this year. The Red Hawks brought him in, and Coach Andy Sawyer said, I mean, this guy may win the starting catching position. That's how highly he was thought of before he got hurt. Well, Gary McClure had Tank Sims in the lineup as the DH last night. 3 for 4, 3 RBIs. So some of the guys that we're going to be keeping an eye on that, you know, have worn or will in the future wear Red Hawk uniforms.
Yeah, how about Tank hitting a tank last night? That's what you got to do if your first name's Tank, right? So, yeah, it's good to see some of the local guys, back out there. In Prospect League baseball, Eric, you can have up to 4 players from the same college playing on the same team. Now, you can have other players, sprinkled throughout other rosters, but on the same team, you can only have 4. And, generally speaking, SEMO, usually goes up to that mark for the Cape Catfish. And, one of the guys you mentioned that did get some playing time this year, Caleb Champion, I expect him to be a big factor this year for the Catfish and get a lot of playing time. And I feel like he's a guy that has a lot of raw tools, and he'll be fun to watch. I know that you enjoyed him this spring as well.
So it'll be a 6:35 first pitch, and really back-to-back games here against the Thrillville Thrillbillies, whose shortstop is Charlie Isom McCall. I believe he's the second baseman for Lindenwood. We saw him during the regular season. He was their second baseman, but it looks like he's playing shortstop for the Thrillbillies. And how many games are the Catfish going to play this summer, Rusty?
So 58 games throughout the summer. We do have an all-star little break this year, all-star game this year that was removed for a couple years. It's back this year. So 58 games during the regular season and playoffs. I mean, these guys are playing, potentially over 60 games. So, of course, there is a big roster. But, you're playing 6 times a week, Eric. It really is an opportunity for these guys to kind of get a look or an idea of what professional baseball is like, and that's kind of what it is this summer. I mean, you're playing literally every day, on the field every day. So these guys are definitely, if they want some playing time, they want some action, they're going to get it this summer.
In a smaller time frame, I mean, if they're playing 58 games, that's a college baseball season, and they have to squeeze those in. Those same rules of 4 players from one school applied to Jess, too, with the Capahaws. He had a limit of 4 per school, so, he never had more than 4 SEMO guys. I don't know about that rule, but it's been around forever. So it'll be 6:35, and, of course, we broadcast all of the home games. And I think there's a chance of weather late, but it looks like should be able to get the game in tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think the weather should be pretty good for tonight. So for the home opener, again on turf, I think you got to be pretty happy with that. And, again, expecting a good crowd for the home opener.
All right, the Cardinals got off to such a bad start on the road, Rusty. It just did not work out early in the season. They went to Boston and got swept. There was the embarrassing national television loss of 18-7. They went to Pittsburgh and lost 2 of 3. They went to the New York Mets and got swept in a 4-game series. Then they lost 2 of 3 in Atlanta. And it looked like, man, this team can play decent baseball at home, but, man, on the road, it's just not working. And I don't care where the Baltimore Orioles are in the standings. Those are 3 solid victories for the Cardinals. They win the final 2 games, and then last night they're down 3-0, headed to the 4th inning, and they end up coming back and winning 6-4. But just think about the last 2 years of Cardinal baseball, Rusty, and when the Cardinals drew themselves a hole like that where it's the 4th inning and they're down 3-0, you almost felt like changing the channel. You just did not feel like this team had the ability to just bow its neck and come back and win the game. First of all, get the pitching to keep the other team at bay, and then secondly, get the offense cranked up enough to where you were going to rally for the win, and that's exactly what they did thanks to Mason Wynn, who ended up with 4 hits. Jordan Walker had a big 2-run single. Miles Michaelis scuffled, but 5 relievers out of the Cardinal bullpen through lights-out baseball. They did not give up a single run last night, and all the ingredients you need for a comeback, guys to get hot later in the game, a shutdown bullpen, and a lights-out closer, all of those ingredients were on display last night for St. Louis.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, that is definitely something that this team seems to have that they did not have over the past couple of seasons. That's some fight, some in them. You know, they don't quit. They keep on playing. And you mentioned it. You know, this team feels like, you know, even if they get down, they have an opportunity to come back. I believe they have 8 come-from-behind wins this year. That's the most in the division. You know, they're in an 18-5 stretch right now, Eric. That's the best in baseball over the past 23 games. So they're playing some really good baseball right now. They're doing the little things. Their offense is coming together at the right time. But really the biggest difference is you look at the Orioles, and I know it's the Orioles who haven't had a great season, Eric, but you mentioned coming from behind. That's big. But also hitting with runners in scoring position. You know, in this series between Baltimore, okay, they batted. They were 9 of 30 this series with runners in scoring position, 300 batting average. Again, Baltimore was 6 for 42, so they had 12 more chances with runners in scoring position, but just a 143 batting average. So that was big. But if you look at last season, the Cardinals batted just 229. That was 27th in the league with hitting with runners in scoring position. They're 4th in the league now with a 270 average. I mean, that is a huge turnaround, and their approach has been way better. The type of at-bats, how they're attacking pitchers. You know, also, too, you know, you saw last year where it didn't seem like guys made very, very good adjustments throughout the game. They're making adjustments. And, you know, maybe the first 2 times that they see a guy, Eric, yeah, maybe they struggle. They get a couple pitches, they get them. But then that 3rd time around or so, they make an adjustment. They understand what the pitcher's doing against them, and then they do damage. And so that's really one of the biggest differences this year. They're hitting with confidence, and they're pitching. They're mixing it up there. Their starters have been pretty solid. The bullpen's been pretty solid. So, and then, of course, their defense has been really good. So in really every facet of the game, they're putting things together right now.
And they're not going to finish among the league leaders in home runs, but they have gotten some big home runs. 2 nights ago, it was Nolan Arenado to put the Cardinals in front for good. Last night, it was Brendan Donovan, the National League doubles leader, also Cards down a run, and his bat put them on top for good.
3-2. Swing, fly ball, hit well toward right, at the track, at the wall, that baby's gone. Brendan Donovan, you are the father of Mr. Povich. Cardinals take the lead, it's 5-4.
How about this at-bat for Brendan Donovan? His 4th home run of the season. He fouled off some tough ones. He took some tough ones and then got the sweeper again and gives the Cardinals the 5-4 lead.
I'm telling you, and Jess loved Brendan Donovan, but the thing you say about Donovan, you don't physically look at him and anything really wows you. When you talk about, you know, he won a Gold Glove as a utility player, which tells me he's just a ball player. I mean, he's a winning ball player. He does so many things to help you win. You need a big hit. It seems like he constantly delivers in terms of batting average. Now, Ivan Herrera does not have enough at-bats to qualify, but Donovan has been the BA leader all season for the Cardinals. They were down a run before that swing that put them on top. They added an insurance run. You win with players like Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, one of the terms that comes to mind, you've heard this before, especially like in college baseball, but dirt bag, right? Meaning, a guy that's going to get dirty, that's going to go all out and play for you. That's kind of what he reminds me of, just kind of that term. But, he does. He does a lot of little things, like you said. He's not an overly toolsy guy, right? I mean, he's not, super fast. He's not a guy that has all this great athletic ability, but boy, he uses every ounce that he does have, and he's a clutch guy too. He's smart. He does, again, the little things right. I mean, you mentioned it. He's one of the leaders in batting average. He's also doing it with runners in scoring position. Believe it or not, he's a .362 hitter with runners in scoring position as well. So I mean, he's I'll be honest, when Ollie put him in the 3-hole to begin the year, I'm like, I don't know if I like that. But he's fit in perfectly right there, and he's been excellent for them, Eric. And, it's funny because beginning of the season, if you remember, he was a guy that was going through that arbitration process, and he actually lost that arbitration process to the Cardinals, which is, was surprising at the time, even more surprising now. You just wonder, his stock continues to go up and up, and he's a guy that is very valuable for them.
So it was another double-digit hit game for the Cardinals last night, and in terms of double-digit hits, they finished with 12 hits. They are second in all of Major League Baseball with their 24th double-digit hit game, and you look at the top of the Cardinal lineup, 9 of the 12 hits came from the top 3 guys in the batting order. Nootbaar, 2 for 5. Wynn with 4 hits. And then Brendan Donovan, the go-ahead home run, he finished with 3 hits. So the top of the lineup setting the table. Now, Contreras took an 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. But they've got other options in this lineup. When Contreras takes an 0 for 5 with 2 Ks, you still get 12 hits and win the baseball game.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty deep lineup. I mean, you have even guys on your bench that are doing well. I mean, Burleson didn't play last night, but he's a guy that is awfully solid. I mean, when you got Herrera doing what he's doing in the middle of the lineup, Arenado at times as well. Walker is going through a stretch right now, at least, where he's hitting the baseball. The top of the lineup, Nootbaar, maybe he's not hitting for a high average, but he's doing what he's always done. He's getting on base. Mason Wynn has been pretty impressive, found a home in that 2 spot. I think he had 4 hits last night, Eric. I mean, you give him a fastball middle in right now, he is not missing it. These guys are, again, taking good approaches at the plate, and you like to see it because, the youth is showing, and they're growing kind of in front of our eyes a little bit.
Didn't gain any ground on the Cubs, but right now, and as you go throughout the season, if you remember Tony La Russa, he used to talk about just stack series wins. He didn't talk about, long winning streaks and different things. He was like, win your series, stack series wins. In St. Louis's last 10 series, the Cardinals are 8-1-1. It's outstanding, and they keep doing stuff that's like that. They're not going to go 8-1-1, throughout the entire season in a sample size of 10 series, but you keep playing similar baseball to this and just taking care of the teams that are on your schedule, and you've got a great shot not only to track down the Cubs, but maybe compete for one of the wild card spots, because right now we do not know where the wild card slots are going to come from. But if the Cardinals keep playing like this, you like their chances to make a run at the playoffs?
Yeah, as we sit today, the Cardinals are tied right there, neck and neck, that is, with the Padres in the wild card race. But look, I mean, their eyes need to be set on the division. That's probably going to be the best option for them because, look, the wild card may be tough. You have teams like the Mets and the Braves who's getting healthy. They could be coming back in there. And obviously the Padres, the Giants, even the Diamondbacks potentially could be making a run at some point. But you're right. I mean, that's got to be the goal right now for the Cardinals, just winning series and trying to stack up those wins early on in the year. Honestly, they're one of the better teams against teams with a 500 average or better, 500 winning percentage rather, or better. So they've done pretty well against those teams that have winning records. Right now, the Cubs are on an 8-2 stretch, but they're winning against the Rockies and teams like that. Now they're going to be playing the Reds, so they're in kind of a stretch right now where they're playing some teams that aren't all that great. Of course, you got to beat the teams on your schedule, but for the Cardinals, look, you're in a pretty good spot. You want to keep charging ahead, but look, it's a long season, Eric. I mean, we're only, maybe a third of the way through or so?
1/3. We're at a third of the way through the season, correct?
Right. So, look, just try to keep pace of where you're going, because right now I think they're on pace to have over 90 wins. So, I mean, look, that may be what it takes to get to the playoffs this year. So keep on pace of what you're doing and try to stay healthy as you can.
It's not like the Cubs are steamrolling the Rockies because they had to go 11 innings 2 nights ago. And then last night it was a low-scoring game, and one of the young phenoms in Major League Baseball had the game-winning swing at Wrigley Field.
Oh, did he get it? PCA down the line, and it's gone! Number 15 raised the roof, and it's 2-0.
Pete hammers this ball, gets a pitch down and in, hits it very high and deep, and it stays true. It does not hook. Of the video board in right, big swing of the bat for Pete Crow Armstrong.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
Pete Crow Armstrong, we know all about his elite speed, Rusty, his elite defense in center field. The big question was, how long would it take him to adapt to Major League pitching? He is doing just fine now. He was in the middle of an 0 for 10 before that home run. And I don't know if you saw that pitch. It was down by his ankles on the inner half of the plate, and somehow he kept it fair down the right field line at Wrigley. This young center fielder for the Cubs, it is now 15 home runs and 50 RBIs. He's second in the majors in RBIs, Pete Crow Armstrong, to his teammate, Seiya Suzuki, who leads Major League Baseball with 51 RBIs. Pete Crow Armstrong certainly making a name for himself with the Cubs, who right now, Rusty, are the highest scoring team in the sport.
Yeah, 330 runs scored. They have a plus 95, differential as far as their scored runs. It's really impressive. You mentioned it, 2 guys in Suzuki and Armstrong that are leading the league in RBIs. I mean, they're right there in the same echelon as Aaron Judge. I mean, come on. That's pretty crazy. That's the biggest thing, Eric, to me, that's been impressive for Pete Crow Armstrong is I mean, I didn't know he had it in him. I mean, he's a guy that looks like he's 180 pounds soaking wet. I mean, he's not a big strapping guy per se. But boy, I mean, what he's been able to do with his bat speed and creating some power, that's been impressive. And honestly, he's, as of right now, Eric, third of the way through the season, I mean, he's got to be right there at the top of the MVP discussion.
And you talk about young players for the Cardinals, and we saw 2 of the young players contribute last night, Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker. Pete Crow Armstrong is 23. He's 6 feet, 184. By the way, he's got 16 stolen bases. He is super fast. I'm not going to say he's Victor Scott fast, but he's in that realm with his speed. And so that is going to be one of the challenges for the Cardinals when they're battling here to chase down the Cubs. The Cubs have a better offense in St. Louis right now, and they've got money to spend, and they're going to make some moves at the trade deadline. They are probably going to go out and try to fortify the bullpen, maybe get a starting pitcher. Remember, they lost one of their top starting pitchers before the season even got going, and Shota Imanaga has been on the disabled list for a little while. But you talk about the best offenses in baseball, Rusty. The Cubs are number one. They're averaging 5.9 runs per game. 5.9. Dodgers number 2 at 5.6. Yankees number 3 at 5.5. Oh, by the way, the Cardinals rank 7th in Major League Baseball in runs scored per game. So the St. Louis offense not taking a back seat to many at the moment.
Yeah, what's crazy is that the Cubs and the Cardinals, Eric, they don't play until next month, like late in the month. I think it's the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th of June. That'll be the first time they meet this year. That's crazy to me. But I wanted to ask you, because I think it's an interesting conversation. You know, you look at the Cubs, where they're at. You mentioned it, spending money, potentially at the deadline. And number one, I think they're going to have to find a way to re-sign Kyle Tucker. I mean, they need him in the middle of that lineup. He's been impressive as well.
It'll be torches and pitchforks in the streets of Chicago if they go out and trade their top prospect to the Astros to get Tucker and then let the Dodgers come in and swoop and bring him into the fold, or he signs with the Yankees. You go out and trade your top prospect. You bring in a guy that helps you potentially get to the playoffs and make a deep run, and then you don't re-sign him. Torches and pitchforks in Chicago.
Yeah, as it should be. I mean, that's got to be priority number one. But I'm interested in your thoughts on this. I wanted to ask you, you look at the Cubs roster and their farm system. You look at the Cardinals roster and their farm system. Both teams have a good kind of young core of players. If you were a GM right now or whatever, an owner, would you rather take the Cubs' young core of players, or would you rather have the Cardinals' young core of players? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that, because I think there's an argument for both.
Well, you look at the Cardinals, obviously Mason Wynn is the top young player that you've got. Victor Scott is off to a nice start. The jury is very much still out on Jordan Walker. The jury is very much still out on Nolan Gorman. And, you know, we shall see about the young pitching in the Cardinals lineup, or in the Cardinals farm system. Some of these guys are injured. I don't know. I would say the Cubs have some very good pieces. Maybe the Cubs edge them just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Like I said, I think right now it's a good debate, because I think on both sides you could look at it, you know, as teams having a good young core. And so that shows you that probably these two teams, at least on paper, should be battling towards the top of the division over the next several seasons, you would think, if they can continue to add on and get better. So I think that gives some high hopes and maybe some interesting rivalry-type aspects and games down the stretch between these two teams.
And those two teams finish their seasons against each other at Wrigley Field. So the bad news is they don't play each other until June 23rd. The good news is, as we get later in the season, that's when we'll see the most head-to-head matchups between the Cardinals and the Cubs. Remember, you play your division rivals 13 times now that we've got the total balanced schedule. So they don't meet until, the third week in June. But the good news is, as you head to July, you've got a lot of meetings between Cubs and Cards.
Yeah, and that could make some very fun baseball down the stretch. So if these two teams are going to be in similar spots to where they are now, I mean, talk about at the end of the year, Eric. I mean, these two teams, maybe that final series could be deciding the division winner. I mean, that would be awesome. So, yeah, there's going to be some important baseball down the stretch. And, you just want both teams to be healthy and at their best. And obviously the trade deadline this year is going to make it even more important as to, okay, what does the Cardinals do? What do the Cubs do? Are they going to be jockeying to try to add, to try to, get ahead of one or the other? So, it's going to be interesting for sure.
So with the Cubs win yesterday and the Cardinals win, that means that it is still a 3-game separation. Cardinals are now 8 games over 500. 32-24, Cubs 35-21. So it is an even 3-game split between those two. Don't look now. I don't think very many people are keeping an eye on the Milwaukee Brewers, Rusty. I am. Not a lot of people are talking about the Brewers. They had their second straight walk-off victory yesterday. They have won 4 in a row. Remember, they got off to that atrocious start after the awful opening to the season at Yankee Stadium, where we became familiar with the torpedo bats. Well, the Brewers, with this 4-game winning streak, they've won 7 of 10. They are now over the 500 mark, 29-28, and they are 4 games back in the loss column behind the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm not going to overlook the Brewers because it seems like every year that you do that, Eric, then they're sitting at the top of the division.
Every year.
Every year. So, the thing with the Brewers is they're just not scoring a ton of runs right now. So if they can get their offense, find a way to get a little momentum there. But they also have a lot of good young players. Jackson Churio, a guy to build around. He's going to be around for a while. I think his first career walk-off home run came the other night for Christian Yelich, Eric. He's still a guy and a force in the middle of their lineup. Really the only team in the division, at least right now, that you think, okay, they're done, and that's the Pirates. But other than that, any of the 4 teams are at least in the mix, the Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs, and even the Reds.
And the team you did mention is the Pittsburgh Pirates. And you could make a legitimate argument that there is a legitimate enough pile of evidence that Paul Skeens could put together a lawsuit for lack of support. He did not win a game in the month of May, but he did yesterday. Now, how is that possible when a guy has a 215 earned run average for the season? But he finally got some run support last night for Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates. They put up 10 runs. Skeens beats the Diamondbacks, who, by the way, the Cardinals just swept Arizona. The Diamondbacks are falling by the wayside here. They have lost 7 of their last 8. Their bullpen is among the worst in Major League Baseball, but it's 10-1. Paul Skeens yesterday tried to do it all by himself, 6 2/3. He only allowed 4 hits, no runs. He did not walk a single Diamondback, and he struck out 7. So the ERA now is 2.15. And for Skeens, Rusty, it is 35 career starts. And he has given up 6 hits or less in all 35. No pitcher in Major League history has ever done that at the start of their career. Think about that.
Wow. That's impressive. This guy is as talented as they come, Eric, in the bigs. It's, if you're a Pirates fan, obviously you love going to the ballpark every 5th day to watch him pitch. But, the question, obviously, that's looming is he going to be with the Pirates much longer? And what are the Pirates going to do with him? Because obviously, there's been rumors floated out there that he could be traded, and maybe some of the big boys would get into, to try to get him so they can get, multiple assets. But boy, how are you not trying to build around this guy? How in the offseason, Eric, the Pirates did absolutely nothing, and their offense is atrocious. They haven't added anybody for it. I mean, how as an organization would you do that when you have a guy like him? I know Jared Jones is on the IL right now, but you have him, you have Mitch Keller. I mean, you have on paper one of the better rotations in the league, but yet you've done nothing to add to your offense to give him some help, and it's got to be super frustrating.
Everybody understands how great of a pitcher Nolan Ryan was, but if you go back and you look, and I'm not saying Skeens is Nolan Ryan, let's calm down, but when you look at stuff, velocity, just overall makeup as a starting pitcher, I'm sure there are some who would say, he's got a little Nolan Ryan in him. Just go back and look. Nolan Ryan played for some bad freaking teams. Now, he was on the 69 Mets, but he was a relief pitcher back in 69. He was 22 years old when he pitched for the Miracle Mets. He pitched for some bad Met teams after that. He pitched for some horrific California Angels teams. He pitched for some terrible Houston Astros teams. And the Texas Rangers didn't do anything when Nolan Ryan was a player. They made it to 2 World Series when he was the president of the Texas Rangers. But I'm afraid we may see a year this year for Paul Skeens like Nolan Ryan had in 1987. And in 87, he pitched for the Houston Astros. He was 40 years old. He led Major League Baseball with a 2.76 ERA. Skeens could do that. He led Major League Baseball with 270 strikeouts. Skeens could do that. His record, and he finished 5th in the Cy Young voting, his record in 1987, leading the league, not just the National League, the entire major leagues in earned run average and strikeouts, he had an 8-16 record that year, Nolan Ryan. Even with that win yesterday, Skeens, who lowered his ERA to 2.15, and again, 35 starts in his career, 6 hits or less in all 35 starts. He has a 4-5 record. I hope Skeens does not have to go through a year like Nolan Ryan did with the Astros in 87.
Yeah, I mean, boy, that would be tough. It kind of reminds me as well, I think in 2018, I think Jacob deGrom won the National League Cy Young, and he had like a 500 record or 10-9 record, something like that.
I think he won 10 games. games. Yeah.
I mean, so that it kind of reminds me on that trajectory a little bit of what that year was like for deGrom as well. So, I mean, that's tough, but I mean, I hope at least that, he'll at least get an opportunity for, some of those postseason type of awards. But man, that would be tough having to deal with that for a long time. I mean, I guess that's what you get for going to the Pirates.
2018, Jacob deGrom led Major League Baseball 170 ERA, led Major League Baseball in ERA plus, FIP, all of the important pitching stats. Won the Cy Young. He was 10-9.
Yeah. He could be on that same path.
And then he won another Cy Young the next year. He was 11-8. I mean, that's just, that's why, victories have been kind of discounted by voters because you've got to look at the individual and not judge him by just the team. I think when you're talking most valuable player, it seems like team is looked at a lot more. In 1987, Andre Dawson won the MVP for the Cubs, who finished in last place. That's the first time that had ever happened. That type of voting seemingly doesn't happen as much anymore. You're not penalized for the fact that maybe your bullpen stinks or you've got a horrific offense like the Pittsburgh Pirates do. But Paul Skeens did get his first win of the month of May yesterday. All right, the Cardinals have a day off today, Rusty. They are headed to Texas, and they were one of my preseason favorites to go to the playoffs. Right now, it's not looking good for the Texas Rangers, and the big reason why is the same reason that the Pittsburgh Pirates aren't winning, and that is because they can't score runs. Texas is 27-30. They have lost 8 of 10. They're 4.5 behind the fading Mariners. Mariners are slumping right now. So that's where the Cardinals are headed, to the Texas Rangers. And to give you a little indication of how bad the offense has gone for Bruce Bochy's club, their pitching is fine. Their offense, only the Pirates and the Rockies are scoring less runs per game than Texas. They are 28th in Major League Baseball in runs scored per game at 3.25. And you'd go back in the last 14 games for the Rangers, it's even worse. They have a team batting average, Texas, last 12 games, of 173. And during that 12-game stretch, Rusty, they're averaging 2.4 runs per game. If you're the Cardinals, you got to go down there thinking about series win, just get some decent pitching, and they may be able to go and sweep that series this weekend.
Yeah, it looks good on paper. I mean, you look at some of the most disappointing teams in the league. Rangers got to be right there up with the Red Sox as some of the, maybe the 2 most disappointing teams in the American League. I mean, that's crazy. That is simply just awful for Texas. I mean, a lot of their young guys have struggled this year, and I'm surprised a little bit, like you. I mean, I expected them to at least be in the hunt for a wild card type team, but
I picked them to go to the World Series against the Dodgers. That was my preseason call on the Texas Rangers with DeGrom back and healthy and Eovaldi. I mean, they've got the pitching. Their bullpen has been fine. Corey Seager has been hurt a lot. And Marcus Semien and some of these guys, they're just not hitting.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. Their guys are not showing up. I mean, you would expect, law of averages, like at some point they're going to get a little better, you would think. But, boy, that is brutal right now. And you mentioned it. I mean, with DeGrom, he's been pitching well. You have Leiter. He's a guy that's been doing pretty decent. Obviously, Eovaldi's been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball this past month. I mean, I think he's had the lowest ERA in baseball over the past month is Eovaldi. So, yeah, I mean, their pitching has been great. It's just, man, they just can't seem to put any runs together, and it's kind of baffling, to be honest.
So the Cardinals will see Jack Leiter on Friday, tomorrow night. Then they will see Patrick Corbin, and then they get Jacob deGrom. That Sunday game is a Roku broadcast. Roku, Eric Fetty, Jacob deGrom. All right, don't forget, we've got Cape Catfish baseball tonight. Rusty will have the call. 6:35 first pitch. Got to take a timeout. When we come back, the Cubs have made a move to strengthen their bullpen. You're going to recognize his name. And Joey Chestnut news we didn't get to yesterday. The eating champion of Coney Island. That's next on the Sports Huddle. It's the Sports Huddle on SEMO ESPN 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online at SEMOESPN.com. Cape Catfish baseball tonight. 6:35 first pitch. It is their home opener at Kappahaw against the Thrillville Thrillbillies. And the voice of the Catfish, Rusty Hendricks, is with us on the EBOMD Huddle Hotline. Bad news, Marty, from an American icon, Joey Chestnut. And this is potential bad news. Of course, the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest is a staple in this country on the 4th of July. And the biggest star in competitive eating is Joey Chestnut. He has won the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest 16 times. However, as we remember, he did not compete last year because there was an issue that Major League Eating and Nathan's had with an endorsement deal he had signed with Impossible Foods. And he says that it remains unclear about his relationship with those two entities, and he has not been invited to the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Here's the quote. If they came back with similar terms we were talking about last year, I would definitely consider it. I really didn't think my relationship with Impossible Foods would affect anything with Nathan's. Now, even though he doesn't appear to be headed for the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, although that could change, there's enough public pressure on, Major League Eating and Nathan's. But this past Memorial Day, he continued his domination in these contests, Rusty. He broke his own world record on Memorial Day. He consumed over 36 24-ounce bags of popcorn in 8 minutes. Joey Chestnut.
That's incredible. He's obviously the biggest name in competitive eating, right? I mean, Joey Chestnut, and, I don't know. I mean, I don't really understand it from Nathan's perspective. Why wouldn't you want the biggest name competing in your event? Because, honestly, that's what draws me is to say, okay, how much can Joey eat this time? Can he break his own record? You don't really know some of the other competitors, and, they're not able to compete the way that Joey does. I mean, that's what's impressive. You're seeing some of the things that he's able to accomplish, and it's like, how in the world does that happen? I mean, how can he do that? So that's what's impressive about it, and for him not to be even in the event, that's kind of crazy to me. And over a different sponsor, Impossible Foods, I don't know, I guess as long as he's not wearing an Impossible Food T-shirt or something, why does it matter, right?
I think that's the thing. He would be, wearing an Impossible Foods T-shirt. It's an outrage.
Good deal.
People, I need me some Joey Chestnut on the 4th of July. It's nationally televised, for goodness sake. We need Chestnut. He's an American hero. Everybody loves Joey Chestnut. He had that rivalry with Kobayashi for a while, but then he just started steamrolling Kobayashi, who ended up dropping off the map. All right, somebody who is squarely on the map, Rusty, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they put the Timber Puppies out of the misery last night.
Just chanting. It doesn't look like anybody's left. They want to be here for the big applause and thank you and salute. But of course, the job not done. There's only one goal for this team. And that challenge will start next Thursday. Final seconds. Another 30-point plus win. As Dillingham will dribble it out. Well, the magical season continues. The Oklahoma City Thunder are going back to the NBA Finals.
And it was over early. The Timberwolves, Rusty, scored 9 points in the first quarter. At halftime, the Timberwolves had more turnovers than made field goals. It was an absolute evisceration. Whether it's the Knicks or whether it's the Pacers, the Thunder are going to be favorites and probably pretty strong favorites in the NBA Finals. Just because you're a favorite doesn't mean you're going to win, but they will start the NBA Finals 1 week from today, and the Thunder will be a part of it.
Yeah, no doubt that they'll be, the favorites. They've been impressive. Look, they had the one game to where obviously Minnesota came out and was able to take that game, and they're the ones that kind of put the drubbing on Oklahoma City. That's fine. They're allowed one clunker, right? But other than that, they've been really good. Obviously, so far, I guess the Nuggets was the biggest series that they have faced so far, the toughest they have faced so far, right?
Right, it went to Game 7, but remember, 2 of those games were just bludgeonings by Oklahoma City, so it did go 7.
Yeah, but SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's showing why, as of right now, he's one of the best players in the game, and 34 points last night. When he has the ball in his hands, good things happen. But, I think I've said it before, is that their defense also is really impressive. I mean, what Lou Dort does to the opposing team's best player with Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. I mean, they have some talent, and there's really no bad matchups 1 through 5 for them. They have a decent bench too. So, yeah, it's going to be impressive. Or I'm sorry, it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue on and win it all. But right now, it kind of looks like it's going to be the Thunder and the Pacers, but they would definitely be the team that would be highly favored.
And we didn't think it would be lasting, or at least just go ahead and put the Carolina Hurricanes out of their misery, and that's what the Florida Panthers did last night.
Down to 10. There is Gostisbehere with a shot. Reflects to the left of the goal. Played by Hall. 5 seconds. There's Gostisbehere. Burns, one final attempt. The Florida Panthers, for the 3rd consecutive season, are heading to the Stanley Cup final.
No doubt, it was just a matter of time for the Florida Panthers to put away the Hurricanes, and that has taken place. We could also see another put away tonight as the Dallas Stars are on life support, trailing 3-1. They will be at home tonight against the Edmonton Oilers, so it looks like we're a step closer to getting a Stanley Cup Finals rematch.
Yeah, I mean, what the Panthers have done, they've just kind of been on a mission, Eric. I mean, they have been playing really well. But you mentioned the Oilers, too. Kind of the biggest question mark or biggest storylines the last couple of days with them is that Sam Heyman, a guy who's on the top line with Connor McDavid, he's going to miss the rest of the playoffs. It's a huge injury for the Oilers. Now, is it enough to say, okay, they can't find a way to win one more game and get back to the finals? I mean, that's going to be tough if the Stars down 3-1 here. But, with at home, I mean, I kind of like the Stars in this game, honestly, Eric, to extend the series. But we'll see. I mean, the Oilers, again, you mentioned it. It kind of looks like we might have the same finals we did a year ago, and I'd be totally fine with that. Those two teams, last year I thought it was a compelling final, and I think it would be again this year. I wanted to ask you this, though, Eric. If you look at, obviously we know two teams that have already made it into their respective finals, in the Panthers in hockey and the Thunder in the NBA. If you had to pick one team that is more likely to win a championship, the Panthers or the Thunder, who would it be?
It would be the Thunder.
I'm with you.
I mean, maybe a little underrated when you just look at how dominant they were in the regular season. I mean, they had the best scoring ratio in the history of the NBA. I mean, they won their games this year by an average of 13 points. Point differential was absolutely remarkable. All right, Rusty, before we get out of here, I do want to throw this out there, because anytime the New York teams suffer misery, I celebrate that misery, just like hoping that the Knicks fans go home and whine after they lose to the Pacers tonight, although the Knicks are 4.5-point favorites as the Pacers look to close them out. It was a 4th consecutive game yesterday without a hit for Juan Soto as the Mets lose to the White Sox at home 9-4. It is 0 for his last 14 at the plate for Soto, who was getting booed at Citi Field. If you're scoring at home, it's a .224 batting average now for Juan Soto. And he is right now, as of today, on pace to hit .224 with 23 home runs and 72 RBIs for the season. And the Mets paid $765 million for Soto. This is year 1 of the 15-year deal. He's being booed at home.
Ooh, do you like that contract right now? Goodness.
That's a shame for the New York fan. It's a shame.
That's too bad.
All right, gotta talk about the struggles of Juan Soto. All right, so looks like that's going to do it for us. The Cape Catfish tonight, 6:35. What time are you on the air? And will you be talking with Gary McClure during your pregame show?
Yes, 6:20 is the start of the pregame show, and that's the plan, is to talk to Coach McClure before and after the game. So excited for that, and hopefully we can have a good product put on the field. And just wanted to say real quick as well, congrats to those teams in high school that have made it to the state tournaments. I mean, Oran back to the Final Four, Chaffee doing it as well, Portageville with a chance to do it today in Class 3. So we saw in softball with Oak Ridge and Kennett and Bernie making it to the Final Four. That was pretty cool as well. So congrats to those local teams.
So this pitcher for Portageville, Houston Parton, who had a 19-strikeout no-hitter in their sectional win over Greenville, is he a prospect, Rusty, do we know?
I wouldn't call him a prospect. I mean, he's a solid pitcher, Eric. Obviously, that is a big game for him to strike out 19, but he's not a guy, Eric, that throws overly hard. I mean, he's from what I remember, he's right around 80 to 83, maybe 84 as far as fastball. Okay. He's a lefty, though, Eric. Okay, so he's a guy that has good movement, good two-seamer, and good breaking ball. But he's a lefty, though, and he's a guy that I know that he'll play at the next level, but I don't know as far as a prospect how big you would look at that.
All right, the head coach of the Cape Catfish, or the manager, they call it manager at that level, right, versus head coach at college. Okay, so Gary McClure, tell him I said hello, and he is very experienced at doing pre- and post-game interviews. Our buddy Van Stokes, the radio broadcaster for Austin Peay, working with Coach McClure for years and years. Van Stokes, one of my favorite guys in radio, the voice of the Austin Peay Governors. That's 6:35. You can hear the game right here on SEMO ESPN. And, Rusty, we won't talk to you for the rest of the week. What do you got coming up on the Scramble Saturday morning at 9?
Well, we'll be talking, of course, Cardinals. We'll be talking about the Cape Catfish and obviously some high school sports as well, as we'll be talking state playoffs. So hope to have a coach or so or two on for that, maybe a player or two, talking about the high school state playoffs.
All right. Enjoy the Cape Catfish game tonight, and have a good call. We'll talk to you next week, Rusty.
Sounds good. Thank you, Eric.
All right. That is Rusty Hendricks. Say hello to the radiant and ravishing Dawn Shawn. She is right now, as we speak, in the chair getting a nice little pedicure, getting the nails done. She's got today and tomorrow off. So I hope she has a wonderful day. We're headed to the movie theater. Going to see the new Mission Impossible movie. Just a few hours. Stay tuned, Clinton and Friends. Coming up next.